This is Python Poker, and today I want to give an update on where we are in our poker journey, and also some goals that I have for the next 2 weeks. And I'm thinking about starting a new series too, where I, for fun, just play the game and put through the lens of like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, like how their mental model heuristics might shape how they make a decision in a poker hand as like a baseline generic default. I think that I've been studying those mental models that they have for a while now, and also of course I've been studying poker as well. Attended a boot camp from Ascend Poker. I completed it in the end of, I think, January, towards the beginning of February. So I'm also implementing those GTO strategies as well, and some exploits from the boot camp. But also I have the generic mental models that I also like, and also some basic baseline questions that helps me simplify my thought process when I go through a hand. So the reason why we see WPT Gold now is I deposited $70 on this site last week, and basically what I was doing is trying to find another ways where I can practice my pre-flop strategies, and like because it's a mobile app, and I don't think ACR has a mobile app. So if I'm like just various places around town, I want to just play a hand or two just to practice. But then thinking through it, logically, I should be playing on this site as well as the ACR site, just because it's a very soft site. I turned $50 into about $500 in about 44,000 hands, which was just playing their 2-L game for the most part. And then I shift over to ACR to play their 5-L and transition to 10-L, and played about another 60,000 hands over there or so, and pretty much break even to winning a little bit on the ACR site. But it's lots of European players and Russian and all kinds of, even also some South American and American players as well. But it's a little tougher site, more 3-bets pre-flop, less getting a chance to realize your equity and so on. The WPT Gold site, however, is very, very soft, and their 2-L games, actually, like we said before, are deep stacks. They play more like 4-L. So I think I'm going to play another 50K hand. So that's the feedback of why I'm here looking at this WPT Gold. But for the next 2 weeks or so, I'm just going to play 2-L on WPT Gold and ACR. On ACR, my win rate for 5-L is about 2 or 3 BBs per 100. I played 10-L for 10,000 hands. I was like break even, like 0.44 BBs per 100. So I'm doing okay, but I'm not doing consistently well. Still making some fundamental mistakes. 2-L though, I played about 33,000 hands on ACR, and I'm pretty much 0 BBs per 100 break even. Maybe I'm going through some variance, but also mixed with some errors. So I'm going to play another 2 weeks on both sites of 2-L, hopefully getting the goal of the ACR win rate to about 5 BBs, closer to 5 BBs per 100, which I know I'm capable of. So I had a nice sample of about 5 to 6 BBs for ACR, and also just play the WPT Gold because it's a soft site, and just build the bankroll here with the goal of playing 10-L anti-game on the WPT Gold moving forward as my next stake. Once I get my bankroll back, probably around $500 or so of the 2-L, 4-L game on WPT Gold, and then I'm gonna play ACR until I have a positive win rate at 2-L of at least 5 BBs. I'm hoping for 5 BBs per 100, and then just shift back into the 5-L games, and hopefully to improve my win rate, which I already have a slight win rate over like 20,000 hands, which is really small. But anyway, so that's a long intro, but I'm just documenting my thoughts here for future blog and future reference, and also if anybody's interested in the journey, you can have that detail. But here we go. So let's play some 1 cent, 2 cent, 2-0 at WPT Gold, with all just doing Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger mental strategy, mental models. They did have a auto top up here on this site, which is great. So I'm just going to go through every hand with the lens of the mental models of the Berkshire Hathaway trading methods, not the technical analysis of their stock picks, but just like generic thoughts along the way and what comes to my mind. Also asking basic questions along the way. So if you're struggling to win 2-0 on WPT Gold, over 44,000 hands, I had a winning 2-0 record of about 50 BBs per 100. So I'm not sure if that was a huge upswing regarding a sun run, but the graph typically was slow and up to the right, as you can see in previous blogs. So from the small blind here, we'll see what the action is. Limp, they are 53.27. Behind me is 62, so it's a fish. I'm gonna call. The reason why I call is because of the fish behind me. Now a quick check. So ace is probably good here. I'm going to check and hopefully they bluff. I'm trying to call off a bluff because I don't understand why they would check the flop with a flush draw and an ace and then bet the turn. So I'm just going to call now. I want to use my time bank almost completely, so there's no timing tails. And I did river 2 pair. So if I check, I think it's going to go check back. Everyone's going to go check behind. I'm just going to lead small. Actually, I'm going to lead to hopefully target a queen call or an ace. Okay, so unfortunately we didn't get any callers there, but that's what we were focusing on there on that moment. So I didn't really have to talk through any trading or mental models there on that one. That was a pretty straightforward hand regarding just the ease of play. But we'll see if we can get to a spot when we have to think big through a spot. So why we're here though. Charlie Munger is more of the preserve the bankroll mindset of the duo of the Berkshire Hathaway team. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he was more of the preserving your bankroll, or your in stock terms, your nest egg, and just hopefully for the mental model. So here, I'm going to isolate the fish here. I say fish because they're 53 and 27, but maybe could have done a little bigger, but 6x is okay. If I get some callers, we'll have some equity on the flop pretty well. Okay, so I have backdoor straight draw and backdoor flush draw. Fish, relatively quick check. Since I have those backdoor draws, but I'm going to check since it's multi-way in the middle. I wouldn't even mind considering betting since I have those draws. We can call here. I think raise is available as well, but here we're going to call. Okay, so that's a really good card because we picked up a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw, and we have ace high. So I'm gonna check and see what the person to my left does. We'll call up to like a 15 BBs or so because my direct odds are 20% from my flush, and I have an extra gut shot and over, so I can call this easily. This is an easy decision. This goes into the easy bucket of decision making, and unfortunately we did not complete our draw. Well, we had a really great draw, but we're going to just check it back and probably lose to king high, or a pair of kings, maybe even the flush did complete, possibly. And we're just going to get out of here. So, interesting hand. Unfortunately, we didn't get improve. Well, we did improve on the turn, but we didn't hit our hand, but it's okay. We got our money in when we had positive equity, and that would be an easy decision under what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, when they think of decisions, they have certain categories: easy decisions, hard decisions, and not sure. If it's easy decision, we continue, like our equity wise. If it's hard decision or you're unsure, just fold and study and move on. So Charlie Munger is more of the preserve the bankroll, disciplined mind of the poker strategy. And Warren Buffett's strategy is more of, he still also has the same characteristics as Charlie Munger, but he's the one that looks for edges and exploits. You kind of have the Warren Buffett mind where it's mathematically in your favor to perform the exploits. You're not just going to blindly exploit. You're going to do it whenever it's in your equity advantage. So whenever he would read all kinds of reports when he was looking for stocks and look for those small edges where he could find an underpriced value. And I guess in the same regard for a poker hand, whenever your opponent gives you a price to continue, like they gave us a price to continue with our hand when we had an extra equity, he gave us a good price. That's an easy decision, and we'll take that for the expected payout. Is strong there. So this is an easy decision. We're gonna fold here. Easy or hard or unsure buckets. Just gonna go with the heuristics there. And so that's kind of the structure of the mindsets. So whenever we have our Charlie Munger hat on, it's more disciplined. We can fold. We could preserve our bankroll, find a better spot. When we have the Warren Buffett mindset, it's more of, let's look at the spot, find the intrinsic value of the spot. If we can exploit profitably on certain lines, we will do those, but only if it's in our favor. Of course, there's lots of other things like that, but I'll think through situations where we might implement those. And also, we're going to add some general frameworks on questions, simple questions, nothing really theoretical, but filtering questions to help us make more informed decisions. Because in poker, there's many variables at all times in the hand. We want to filter our thoughts to make the most equitable, most profitable decision. And it's a long-run game, so we can't really look at our decision and hold on to it. We got to move on and focus on the current variables in the hand at the time. And here we have a 3x under the gun raise and a raise over the top. I don't even have to look at their stats. I'm going to fold this one. But as we watch the hand, we will look at the stats: 62-6 under the gun, 41-16. And then now we're just going to play out the hand and see if we can get some information for the future. This guy half pots it on a flush. So someone has a flush card, most likely. They bet like they have it. Okay. No, so straight and queens. Interesting. So this is the kind of stuff that we do see on the Club WPT Gold site. Lots of chips being shared between each other with these various spots. So we just got to be patient and find our spot. Because we will get paid, but we don't want to force the action. This is another one of the Charlie Munger and actually Warren Buffett as well. They talk about the fat pitch, like in baseball. time is our friend. And so the fat pitch, you don't imagine you're in a situation where you never had to swing your bat. There's no strikes, no outs, that kind of thing, and you just have to wait for the pitch. You have an unlimited time, and you can hit when it's in your strike zone, waiting for the fat pitch, and you can take a swing. And in poker, technically we do have somewhat of an unlimited time frame, because we can fold as long as we want, and we can find just a positive opportunity. So that's very passive, though. You know you're going to be very tight if you do something like that. So you want to have a balanced approach, but that just gives you like the most extreme situation of the fat pitch method. I said fat pitch algorithm because that's kind of was my framework structure, is that model. But the fat pitch method, it's okay, move on, fold, that kind of thing. So we can't do anything here, even though we're on the button. Our hand's going to be dominated multi-ways. Easy decision. We're going to get out of here. And we'll go from there. So some other questions that I need to continue to ask, filtering questions on the river, is it's a very simple question, but it's a very powerful question and very important question. On the river, when I'm calling a huge bet on the river, you can always ask the question, what do I beat for value? If the answer is like nothing, and you have like a marginal pair and there's like flush out there, trips, straights are available, just fold. Even if you have like king 6 and it's like a king high board, and they bet so big that any king 10, king jacks are out there as well. Just get rid of it and find a better spot. If you don't beat much, or what value hands beat you is probably a better question, because it helps you point out the multiple hand classes that beat you, and it kind of refreshes your mindset. Because poker here is a game that there's lots of variables, and also our minds get into the hands and we get emotional about things. Something I'm working on too is getting emotionally attached to hands still. I talked about that for a while, but that question kind of breaks the emotional framework in a way, but I don't always remember the question, unfortunately, but it's okay. So I'm going to try to ask those generic questions along the way. So not a lot of technical analysis today. I'm just going to do a simple experiment here where I just do mental models just to help with the thought process. I could even open a bigger from the under the gun, since these players call very wide. You get two callers. This flop, since I have an over and a backdoor flush draw, I think I will bet here, even though there's lots of 5X's in their range. So, alright. So what would Charlie Munger do? We have better hands that we want to continue. And ace high is decent, so we're gonna check. Ace high is a showdown hand. That's why I checked that one back. Over to them. On the flop, they did call a bet, and if they have a 10 or a 5, we're cooked. I'm just gonna check. Okay. So they called the flop with Jack 9, which I guess had a backdoor straight draw, but kind of loose call on the flop. even a bet on the end would be okay, since it went check, check on the turn, and also check on the river by the out of position player. So even a bet is fine. But with the ace high, I don't think we need to bet that hand, since we have some showdown value with the ace high. As you can see, we did win the hand. We can't be results oriented, however, but that's why I decided to check that one back. Or, no, I keep saying check that back. There's no one behind me. Just wanted to check that one. So there are not really any mental models on that one. Just more of a straightforward decision. Yeah, so Charlie Munger, more of the in the regimented bankroll preservation, but also Warren Buffett had those same qualities as well. So they were a great team in their decision-making process. However, whenever there was that edge that we were looking for, that's when Warren Buffett usually stepped in to use his research and his abilities to find those underpriced assets and those values. And then, of course, he went back to Charlie Munger, and they continued defining with their different heuristics and their mental models to help make the best decision. And Warren Buffett needed that. I'm not sure if he needed it. He probably would have. He definitely would have been successful if I probably could have from the button there. King 9 offsuit. I really want to do King Jack, maybe King 10 offsuit for the Rays. First, I didn't look at their stats anyway, but they're a little recreationally not too wide. But Warren Buffett really didn't necessarily need Charlie Munger to win all of his fortune. However, it definitely helped having that sidekick there with that stern, conservative thought process as well, focusing on preserving. So when I go through a hand, those are the two conflicting mindsets. Not really conflicting, because like I said, Warren Buffett still has those, if you think of like two sets, like a Venn diagram, the innermost, if there's two concentric sets, the innermost intersection of the sets is what their shared knowledge is. So Warren Buffett does have the shared knowledge of Munger's discipline as well, but Munger is more hyper-disciplined. He's very like one of the curmudgeon types, archetypes that you think of when you think about his way is stubborn, and I think of Warren Buffett as more playful. So there's those two viewpoints in your head, and I kind of thought about the other day, it's more like a blue line, red line thoughts. It's like more like Charlie Munger is more like your blue line, and Warren Buffett's like the red line tactics. So, and they blend together, of course, to get your green line, right? But maybe that's a little oversimplification. But that's the different hats that we have whenever we're thinking through those different mindsets. So we'll just do some simple thoughts here. I don't know how long this video is going to last, but it is one table. However, that can be boring for some people. But hopefully with going through this investment model, it's entertaining or not, maybe not. And then but these thoughts are very helpful, and they helped me before I even started the boot camp with the theoretical side, because if I was running through a situation where I was unsure and just playing as it is, the hand on the fly, without any training, it kind of just structures you with these simple thoughts, and the simple thoughts, but they're complex thoughts at the heart of it. But that's what helps me, and of course I'm still learning everything along the way. It's poker is a lifelong game. You'll learn. But you also want to, one of the investment ideas in Buffett and Munger's philosophy is to have a snowball effect, where they don't want to take money or the investment asset or whatever you want to call it, in their case money, out of their system. So they always wanted to let it ride, let the investment and have a snowball effect for the exponential growth. So you can kind of compare that to clarity and decision making, where your decisions are going to snowball, hopefully in the positive direction over time, as you study, as you play games, as we think of these mental models, and as we think of these questions to help, as a byproduct, help our bankroll skyrocket as well. Because your bankroll is all it is your decision making over time. And of course we're going to have some dips with variance and cards and this and that, but over time your clarity should be going all the way up to the right, and we should be improving our bankrolls every day is your goal, and every week is your goal, every month, every day. So we should always have a positive balance, not positive balance, but a positive profit is the mindset along the way. So your clarity and your decision makings will help make you break even for one, because of the rake is decent. Lots of players in the high stakes like to be break even because they get rake back. But we're in the lower stakes now, 2-0 to 5-0 to 10-0. It's our games that we're kind of playing now. But our clarity is going to compound, and that's going to be a byproduct into our bankroll to go up over time as well. And we're getting our tuition here out relatively free, 1 cent, 2 cent, which in the US they even banned, or they stopped production of pennies. So we're basically playing for free in a sense. But we also have to realize that it's not technically for free, because there's still big blinds in the play. So I usually have big blinds in the stack. So I don't even treat it as money. I just think about them as units of big blinds to just compound those. So the snowball method and clarity, every day we will just improve our clarity. We'll see spots, we'll learn from them, and we'll make less mistakes. And then over time, our clarity and decision making will compound and snowball till we reach our own tipping point in our thoughts, which will then be a direct byproduct of our bankroll. So here, 5x from the limp. Limp is 33.13. The 5x, 54.27. And we got another very tight player raised over the top. This is going to be an easy bucket decision, and we're going to fold. I was thinking about possibly calling the 5x since no one was behind me on the big blind. I close the action and I get a decent price to set mine. But since the player to my direct right did go over the top and they're very tight, try to get out of there with the sevens. 100 BB pot. Let's see what the 1 BB is basically just the same as a check at this point. We'll see what the player does. Wow, they fold. 1 BB bet. I think it was a misclick. 100 to 1. There's a 100 to 1 chance that player is bluffing. It's one time in there, right? But yeah, it's very interesting. It was a misclick, given the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Yeah, so this is probably gonna be a little longer video, but yeah, we'll hopefully have those models, simple decisions here for this little next set of videos that I put out here. But so that's a little background on what I've been doing. So I started this YouTube channel in November, I think it was, of last year. And, we did develop a nice little bankroll here. Pretty stagnant right now. Moving up slightly. I mean, nothing crazy. But I'm just going to take the patient route. And we're just going to have a goal just to get better and better every single day. And if I'm going to be at the 2NL streets for a little longer on ACR, or the 5NL on ACR for a little longer, it's just fine, whatever. Because if I'm making these errors now on these smaller stakes, it's just going to compound into huge bankroll losses. I know that we'll have errors and bad decisions along the way. However, I need to make sure we get rid of some of these emotional decisions here. And also, I've only played about 100,000 hands or so, which is relatively small. People play hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hands of 2NL and millions of hands in their career. So I'm very early in the process, but 100,000 hands is a lot of hands. But I have to make sure in every single decision point, in every single hand in the present, I need to just think through and not worry about the previous hands or future hands. Like for this one here, definitely a value hand here. I'm going to look at the players in the blinds. Tight, and a little wide here. I'm just going to open up a little bit larger than 2x to get some value with my stronger hands, and they're not going to understand. They might not see that, but that's what I'm doing here. So this got a little min raise over the top. This is the tighter player. Maybe this is an easy decision to get some value. I'm going to just go to 24 dBs here, and we'll call it. Okay, so unfortunately we didn't get a call or a raise over the top with the second best hand, but we'll be happy taking down the pot pre-flop. And not seeing that dreaded ace on the flop. So earlier we were in a hand with Jack 10, and I flopped top two pair, Jack 10 with a club, and then I out of position bets 11 BBs into like a 30 BB pot or so. Person to their right, left call, and I just 6x it to 60 BBs. I was deep stacked about 180 BBs, and the person I was playing against that did the initial 12 or 11 BB bet was also like 150 or so. So they call the person that did the initial bet, and the other person folded. So 6x turn brings in a backdoor flush draw of clubs, and the out of position player jams 60 bigs. I call, and so the pot was about 300 BBs or so, and they had 8-5 of clubs, and they hit the club on the river, which it's not ideal for us, but mathematically we made the right decision. Over time it will work out in our favor. I was a little frustrated, of course, because they hit a 20% outer or whatever, 20% hand equity versus your 80%. But over time, we want to always be in those spots with that decision. So that was an easy bucket decision to call. And the price that they offered us to continue was an undervalued situation where we have to take that all day. And those swings and those types of things will happen, especially since I like playing deep stack here. First of all, in these games, everyone usually buys in for 200 bigs, but I'm only buying for like 100 bigs to begin with, just because I just start with a baseline 100 big strategy, and then once I get over that, I just build up until I cash out, or probably around when I get to 200 bigs, maybe 250 bigs. I play for a while, but I had a 500 big stack this morning, which was good, just because these deep stack games are pretty great. But in some situations like the one that happened before, we will lose a 300 big pot with 80% equity. And, it's frustrating at times because you have the 80% advantage, but if you lose, you lose. You always want to get in that spot and continue playing at that table with that player. And so maybe you'll get those chips back. Who knows? They might make a similar mistake like that. Well, not really. They had some equity, but because these were wild players on this site, that's why we had to kind of take a step back and shift to the Charlie Munger discipline, patience vibe. And then once we get into that situation where we're already in a positive EV situation due to our Charlie Munger bankroll preservation, conservative, easier decisions, and then if there's an opportunity in that spot, we can shift to the Warren Buffett side, which is more of the truly understand the intrinsic value of the spot. Is it undervalued? Is it overvalued? Make our decision along the way. Is there any exploit in this spot that we can use that is profitable? And how profitable is it out of X amount of times? And then we can shift that to make that profitable bluff attempt if, it's reasonable in a profit-wise. So we're still going to use the GTO and some exploits, but we're going to use it through those filters here. I'm going to look at the King 9 suited is a definitely raising contender. The reason why you're going to see me limp a little bit more is just because you saw me check the stats behind me, is that these players are going to show up with every single hand imaginable, and my expected payout and equity realization is so high that even though as an EV wise, maybe limping is not ideal, but from an equity realization standpoint, these people will let me over realize my equity, so then I could make more money in the long run. As you can see here, King 2, 8, 4. Of course, they're limps, right? But if so you'll see me limping a little bit more than doing the 3-better fold method from the small blind, depending on the situation. Of course, you'll see me 3-bet as well, but so I'm going to do a mixture in frequency in certain spots. Here, I'm going to bet big, just because they're going to call. They're not going to understand that I'm doing a 3x versus a 2x or a 2.5x. So we're just going to hopefully that they have decent spots. This is a very tight player. Betting is fine as well, but since I have a really good now here, draw. Sometimes this bet can take it down. Yeah, since it went check on the flop. That bet there, the delayed bet, works pretty well. But with that combo, sometimes the bet itself will provide fold equity for you, but also I had so many backdoors in case that didn't work. That was the reason to continue that. But even a 10% pot bet on the flop would be fine as well at 25% since we had that ace of hearts there. Could have done that as well. I probably should have did that in retrospect. But either way, we won the hand either way, which is all that matters. Pre-flop though, since they were so tight, I decided to call. Ace King offsuit can be a call in certain frequencies. Ace Queen suited though, I probably would have went up to I might have did 3x over the top since I was in position. So we're not really getting any technical aspects here. So far it's been pretty straightforward decisions. But see if we can get some more hands here. The Club WPT Gold, I wish they had like a 5NL deep stack game. Maybe they'll have one more in the future because they are improving their software. But this 2NL is technically a 4NL game because it's so deep stack with the 2NL blinds. So it is what it is. We'll take it. But yeah, so if we got $500 ish over 44,000 hands, I decided to do another 44,000 hands or so and see if we can get $500 again. And my win rate should be a lot higher than the previous hand sample because that was before the boot camp. And since I'm implementing some of the boot camp strategies, all the boot camp strategies along the way, and also doing the mental model approach. And so therefore, if it wasn't a sun run, the win rate should be at least consistent with the previous graphs. And we will take it one day at a time, one hand at a time. I'm not going to rush it, but we will play like a disciplined approach, of course with some exploits, but mainly I want to pick off errors rather than give my opponents free blinds. And that's what we'll do. Alright, so we'll probably get another 10 minutes or so. It's a little long video. However, we'll see if we get any interest in this type of format and go from there. Another one of Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett's ideas is don't be stupid, which is probably not just their idea, but lots of people's idea, is just don't make a dumb decision, basically. So if you know what the best outcome is and you have to know beforehand in order to understand what's a dumb decision, what's a bad decision. But in the end, that's what we're trying to do, make a good decision or a bad decision. And along the way, we have those filters to help us pick that answer if it's good or bad. And Charlie Munger, for the most part, is a guy that says, don't be stupid. Just, you know what you need to do. Just do it. Follow your game plan. And just have that rigid mindset of, fat pitch, easy or hard decision. Preserve your bankroll. Live to fight another day. And then, of course, the switch comes on when the opportunity is the Warren Buffett side of the exploits and finding the best spot. Another one of Charlie Munger's ideas is he wants to know where he's going to die so he doesn't be there. that was one of his sayings. So in regarding like stock, when is a stock gonna go bankrupt type thing, and then don't be there. So here we have a decent hand. We're just gonna open 3x since it's a stronger hand, and make the pot a little bigger when we have value. The ace 10 in this position is technically our stock, our value in this spot, and we give our value, a larger amount compared to the pot size, and hopefully they overvalue their hands by calling. Here we have an over and a backdoor flush draw and backdoor straight draw. So this board we're gonna bet pretty big since it's a little connected board here, and that's why I'm gonna bet a little larger here. And they do raise. Okay, they're a tight player. We're just gonna fold. We're gonna fold now. They're a tight player. 21-17, and by default, check raises are under performed at these levels, and they could have flopped 2 pair, could have flopped a set. They're going to tell us what they have here, and also we bet a little bigger on the flop. So we kind of did a polarized bet on the flop, and they re-raised to the top, not carrying. So we're just going to get out of there and find a better spot. That's going to be an easy decision overall. You don't see a lot of check raises, especially at these stakes, and even the higher stakes, they're a lower frequency. So part of my mistakes in the past, which I still do today, is overcalling check raises and then just giving people BBs when I should just get rid of the hand. They told me their hand is strong. My hand is kind of marginal there. We're going to bet our hand, though, because Jack is good for, I believe Jack is good for our range there. You could do 25% bet to 40% bet. It's like my range, but typically more 25%. But so that does take it down sometimes as well. But once they show aggression, easy or hard decision. Let's just get out of there due to the frequency of that's an under. People typically under check raise on these spots, but we will live to fight another day, find a better opportunity, and move on, and not really worry about it too much. Also, the other thing too is you saw me looked at their stats. They're tight-ish, so their range could even have jacks in their range, 8s, 5. They could have sets, 2 pairs. They could have a open-ended. I don't think open-ended draw might have bet that high. They could have, but we'll just get out of there and move on. I'm not gonna re-raise Jack 9 suited against under the gun. We'll open that like in middle position for the most part. I don't even like opening Jack 9, honestly. Under the gun. I know it's part of the some opening ranges and middle position for the most part, and late position like the cutoff, and maybe the hijack maybe a little bit, but nah, we're not. We want a 3-better fold from that position versus under the gun, and that 9-10 doesn't perform well in the long run versus that range of the under the gun player. Okay, so this person re-raised the turn, raised the turn. So if I repping 2 pair, ace 9, ace queen. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett were actually bridge players, and they're very strong bridge players too, so they performed very well in that game, which is based off strategy and, of course, mental models as well. So their investment principles and models help them translate to the bridge game. I'm not really familiar with bridge, honestly. I know it's a card game, but I think money is involved as well, so it goes hand in hand with the investment idea. But so their logical decision making can move forward in these card games. That was probably that could have been a stretch, but just by generically saying they're good at bridge and they're found. But you know what I mean, like mental models, logical deduction. Since they innately have those, they'll be successful at a game that involves that. In poker, is all about deduction, logic. One decision making the next decision, and like also thinking about the price that you have with your hand and how much money you can make versus your odds, and you know how profitable it is to make it a certain bet in certain lines, that kind of thing. So it all adds up. But if you're struggling with 2NL here, WPT Gold or wherever, if you just try to switch to the mindset of the simple approach, you know, start with easy or hard or unsure categories. Easy, you know, make your continues. If it's a hard decision or you're unsure about the decision, just fold, get it, make it, take a note, move on, find a better spot. Think about preserving your bankroll. Let's say you are a losing player and you just were break even for a week or two and you preserved your bankroll, that's a win, because you can use that future bankroll to make more money instead of just like slowly leaking, that kind of thing. So that's the Charlie Munger side, preserving the bankroll. And then we can flip the switch to the Warren Buffett approach, which again, Warren Buffett always has the same baseline strategy. So it's not like Warren Buffett's like a wild player. He still starts with those baselines, but when a spot happens in that node where he sees an opportunity, once in a blue moon opportunity to make a decision that will be more profitable, he'll make that decision based off his study and his lines. So he's like the more exploitative mindset. And he talks to Charlie Munger about his decision. They kind of make an informed thought and go forward. So if you have those mental models in your head, one Charlie Munger, one Warren Buffett, baseline poker strategy, preserve bankroll, discipline, patience, Charlie Munger, and then the alter ego, which also has that as a foundation, but exploitative, intrinsic value of the hand, opportunity cost, all this kind of stuff. That's the Warren Buffett side, and they all work hand in hand to be a strong team. Play this last hand here and we'll call it quits for today. So I opened 2.5x or 3x from the button here, but ace is strong for our range here, so we're gonna bet this, and it's a large bet board here. We got ace king. It's a polarized board, so we're gonna just bet our range here. Easy decision, and this person will fold. So we're just betting our range here on that board. Easy decision. That ace and king performs great for the in position 3-better, and that's it. So I'm gonna wrap up the video here, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna open this, by the way, and we'll just finish this hand, I guess, while I'm doing the closing, since I don't want to leave you hanging here. So here we have a short stack player. We're gonna focus on, since their stack is 30 bigs versus 20 big spot. I'm just gonna bet small to get the short stack player into the hand. I want to take all of their money. If they jam, I'm just gonna call here. I'm just targeting a king, so I'm just gonna I don't want to be too I'm just gonna I don't want to be too scary for them, so I'm just gonna bet small again. Get their stack in. whatever happens on the river happens on the river. If they jam, I just call 14 to win 75. And since I set up the SPR in the turn, I think it's now an easy opportunity to just bet the remaining on the river. If they have king jack, whatever. If they have ace, whatever they have, king 7, I don't care. But that's the thought process against a fish, and we'll see what they show up with. Nope, nothing. Okay, well, at least we got something on the turn. In that situation, makes sense because on the turn, if I would have jammed, they probably would have folded. So we got an extra 12 BBs or so, whatever it was, to get them. So that's the end of that video. We will see you next time, and thank you for watching.